This will take us to number 9 on our agenda, the superintendent's report. I'll turn it over to Dr. Ross.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board and our community. It's certainly great to start off a brand new year, and we're excited about that. Again, want to thank all of our parents and stakeholders and staff, especially with our snow that we received last week, and making adjustments through that. The community must forgive me. I'm from Washington, D.C., and when we have 4 inches of snow, you may get an hour delay. Here, it's a little different, but do appreciate the adjustments that are made there. Also want to say, as was said by Ms. Taylor, that January is School Board Appreciation Month, and during the month of January, we'll be honoring our school board. So on your desk is a little token of our appreciation for your daily water. I wouldn't fill it up with coffee, that's a lot, but just your love and grow vision for you in your District 5 mugs. We are a system guided by 3 critical questions. Why do we do this work? That's our vision question. How do we accomplish that? Why? That's our mission. And then our outcomes are the things that we love. That's what we like to talk about. Our vision is that we love and grow our students. Our mission is that we're focused on academic, social, emotional growth and development. And then our what outlines in our strategic plan. These are 2 objectives, that every student feels loved in our schools and every student has demonstrated academic growth in our schools. Our 24 strategies chasing these 4 performance goals is our daily work. The strategic plan of the state is by 2030, 75% of our students, at least 75%, will be at or above grade level. Where are we on this mark? As you can see, this is the fall 2024 data. You see where the 75% mark is. So this is for our SE Ready Fall Map assessment for English and math. We at School District 5 have work to do. Our teachers are working very hard, and our staff are supporting those classroom initiatives so that we can meet that performance goal. We will do this 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring. We have completed the winter assessment. So this was fall when students returned to school. There's the winter data. While we made gains in some areas, we have lost ground in others. So as again, our target is to get to that 75% as the growth goals for our district. This is a critical focus for our school district. All of those students in the red, all of those students who are not on grade level, meeting those needs. Be reminded that we're now under Act 114. Students who are not scoring, students that does not meet in that red are required to be retained, and the reading portfolio is no longer a good cause exemption. If this was in place last year, that would be 16,238 third graders that would be in the 3rd grade again this year in the state of South Carolina. For School District 5, that's an extra 266 3rd graders that would be back in the 3rd grade this year. I want us as a board to understand the difficulties that our 3rd grade teachers face. But this is indicative of the larger situation that all of our teachers face. And it's a matter of time. A 3rd grade teacher beginning last year, because I know we're changing some of the standards, but just think about what's ahead of them on their timetable. They have from the state 196 English language arts standards and indicators to teach this year. They have 38 math standards and indicators to teach this year. That's 234 potentially tested standards and indicators that 3rd grade teacher has to teach. They have 180 days to teach it. 234 potentially tested items, 180 days to teach it. Now we start testing in a 20-day testing window. So they really have 160 days to teach 234 potentially tested. And that's if that child shows up on day 1 ready for 3rd grade. As I've shown you in previous presentations, we have students that will come from many different places, but they're not on third grade level when they get to third grade. This is what our teachers are feeling right now, and this is what they need support. It's not just third grade, it's every grade. Now that's just English and math. So that's 160 real days. So when people say, you know, Dr. Ross, why do you need them in school? I need every minute that I possibly can to get these children to where they need to be. Plus, science, social studies, school norms, student behaviors, and all other duties that are assigned. Our teachers are signing up for Herculean jobs. And they're working very hard, very diligently with students who are 2, sometimes 3 standard deviations away from the on-grade level norm. This is just an example of what our third grade teachers today are facing. We haven't talked about the rest of the 2,000 teachers and staff that we have. So I say this because as we face this from third grade all the way up to graduation, these things are compounding. We need every minute to have our students focus on reading, writing, calculating, and graduating. And what our focus will be will matter. As resources limit, constrained, the ability to get all of our arrows pointing northward to pointing green is going to be tougher for our school district. There's no excuse. We have the people that can do it, but we need to be able to focus in on those needs. 234 potentially tested in less than 160 days. These challenges are before our teachers, and they sign up to do it. They don't shy away from it, and I applaud them for that. So our priorities this year is support the classroom. Anything that we can do to support those classrooms. Looking at those supports for mental health issues to get our kids ready to learn. We talk about brain science a lot. You brought that in, and the brain has to have 3 questions answered yes in order for me to learn. 1, am I safe? Because if it's no, I will not learn. 2, do I belong here? To talk about a global magnet that really wraps in all of the things that a child needs and understands to feel belonging at a school matters. And 3, does what I'm learning matter to my future? Is it relevant? We can answer those 3 critical questions yes for every child. Those are the supports that we need in the classroom. Teacher retention recruitment, I want to pause to just, I know Dr. Turner's going to thank everybody else, and somebody has to take the lead. The question was, do we cancel this weekend's hiring event? We went forward with the weekend hire event, thinking, maybe have an issue with the ice and the snow, but we went forward anyway. I arrived late, but when I arrived to see that there was no place to park at our hiring event, over 200 people registered for that event. We issued about 13 early contracts with more to come in. And so we're excited about teachers really looking at School District 5 as the place that they want to be. But here's something of note that I just want to share with our board. I met a teacher, we signed on a contract. I'm not going to give out too much information. Dr. Turner can cut my mic if I do. This person will be teaching social studies in School District 5 next year. They were born after 9/11. Just kind of let you know where we are in terms of change in time. So supporting this younger generation of teachers. Today's teachers aren't your teachers from the past. They need new supports and new opportunities for recruitment. And then ensuring a safe and productive learning environment for all. And so with that, safety and security takes on a lot of different forms. One of the incidences that we had was a cybersecurity issue with Power School. I want to ask, as she comes to the lectern, Director of Technology, Jenny Garris, to just give an update on what we know at the time. We have included an update for you in your packet. And so, Ms. Garris, if you can kind of walk through the information that we know at the time and then the action School District 5 is taking. Thank you, Ms.
Well,
Garris.
thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Ross. A short timeline and summary of the things that have happened thus far. Last Tuesday afternoon, the district received notification from PowerSchool that customer data across the world, and including District 5, was accessed by an unauthorized party. On Wednesday, district officials, including myself, attended a webinar hosted by PowerSchool to learn more details about this incident. During that webinar, they had the PowerSchool CEO and their CISO, which is their Chief Information Security Officer, on there. And they were pretty transparent overall with what had happened. And they shared that these internal credentials were for a support account that was compromised. And this threat actor began to access data of the customers around the world. They shared that the event began on December 19th. That was the first time they could go back and find that the data was accessed. And over the days following, that's when they could see that the data was compromised and extracted. Immediate steps were taken by PowerSchool to shut off the account, and they moved into what they call containment and remediation steps, which included a lot of security lockdown procedures, so to speak. PowerSchool has confirmed that there was no malware deployed into any PowerSchool instances. This was not an encryption event, and there's no ongoing malicious activity in anyone's PowerSchool environment. They have confirmed that both student and staff data was extracted. They do believe that this data has been deleted without any further replication or dissemination. They don't anticipate data being shared or made public because the threat actor involved in this situation had the goal of getting money, not data. Now, do you trust criminals? That's always the question. Of course not. They have employed, they have internal controls and security, but they've also employed a company called CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is a very well-known international company for cybersecurity, and so they will be assisting with this containment. They will continue to monitor the dark web for any of this data. CrowdStrike will also be issuing a forensic report that we do expect sometime later this week, so we're looking forward to seeing that as well. On Thursday, the State Department of Education had a virtual meeting with district leaders from across the state because, as I said, this was not just District 5, it was not the state of South Carolina, this was states across the United States and other countries as well. And so in South Carolina, PowerSchool contract is held by the state. So all public school districts use PowerSchool for their SIS, their Student Information System. And so our State Department of Education has taken the lead on holding PowerSchool accountable for that contract and for this data breach that has occurred. In this virtual meeting, State Superintendent Ellen Weaver and Deputy Superintendent Matthew Ferguson were on there. Also, Chief Information Officer Dan Rallier was on there as well. And it was his first week on the job, by the way, so that was not a way that you wanted to start a new job as a Chief Information Officer. But Dan has been with the State Department for a long time, so they've been providing us guidance and updates as they get them as well. They outlined the state's response to this breach notification, and they've also been in constant contact with the PowerSchool leadership. My understanding is that PowerSchool leadership was actually in South Carolina last week when this all took place, so they actually got to speak with many of them face to face. One of the things that went home in the letter that you all saw that went to all of our families and was reiterated very, very strongly in this webinar at the State Department, and they are advocating very strongly for PowerSchool to provide credit monitoring, identity protection for affected individuals. Some of the other agencies that get involved with this, the State Department contacted the Attorney General, the Governor's Office, the FBI, SLED, SCISBIT, which is the South Carolina School Board's Trust Insurance. That's who holds our cybersecurity insurance for the district. So they were all notified by the state. We have also, as a district, notified them directly as well. That way we're sure that we're on record, that we know that we were also affected. The press release that we sent out was sent out last Thursday after that State Department webinar so that we could reiterate and follow their guidance as well. Again, just as the State Department has stressed, this breach was out of local and state control. Our district data is hosted in the cloud, and if you're not a very technical person, that means there was really nothing we could do internally. It's not on our site to be able to secure that data. So that's a challenge with they call it hosted environments, which is a very common thing. And so numerous actions have been taken on our part that what we can do. We immediately began implementing our incident response plan. That plan is really written for a response to the breach of our own network internally. So I shared with Dr. Ross that plan, and we talked through it. There are parts that don't apply because this was not a breach of our network or our databases that are in-house, but we can follow through all of our different processes throughout. So the general steps in a breach of this event, of this site type, is communication, assessment, containment, eradication, and recovery. And so really the communication and recovery pieces are very big for us and what we can do. In this situation, as I stated, the breach was with a third-party contract that's under contract with the State Department. So several of those steps really fall under PowerSchool's control. And that's where we are very thankful that the state is taking that lead and helping us to pursue them, providing us with all the protections we can and all the answers that we have to many questions still. We are following the guidance that were provided by SLED and SCISBIT of what we should do, so we're following those steps as well. There's also another part of SLED that you may or may not have heard of. It's called the Critical Infrastructure Cybersecurity Program, and so they've also sent us some guidance as well. We just received that, and so that's something we'll be looking at in the next day or two to see if there's anything we haven't done that they're recommending. We'll continue to receive guidance from these agencies regarding next steps and notifications. We'll provide that as soon as it's available. We expect this is going to continue to evolve over the next several weeks. It's important to note, and I know this is a big question for families, and I think this is important, we do not put student social security numbers in PowerSchool. If you look at some of the information that's been out nationwide about this breach, because obviously it's big headlines, it talks about social security numbers being taken. There may be districts that collect those. We stopped collecting social security numbers from students registering many years ago. So we do not have that. That's a great thing. We also do not have financial information in our PowerSchool instance. The parent portal was not affected, so that part was not affected. And when parents pay fees, that's through RICOR, which is a different system. So in this bad news situation, which is never good, there are two really important things that I think are worth saying publicly and making sure people know that those two pieces of information were not in that data. Now, we are committed to providing families with all the information we can. The state has said they are putting the onus on PowerSchool to notify families. We will monitor that because we want to push and make sure our families know what data was taken and what steps they should take going forward. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, and if I can't answer, it may be something that I can provide once we get more guidance from the state or from PowerSchool itself.
Do we have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garris. As we move forward in our referendum, I want to talk about the projects and keeping the board and the community aware of our process and progress on these projects. And so we will be releasing really soon our bond referendum dashboard. I want to thank all of our executive team and the communications for putting together our dashboard. It looks like this will be on our website, and you can track all of the projects, the budget, and our way through our major benchmarks of procurement, design, permitting, construction, occupancy, and closeout, and then the final cost. So this is a way to have that. Red means that we're not started that part of the benchmark yet. Yellow is in progress, and then green is completed. And we look forward to the day where this entire board is green. We have delivered on the promise from November 2024. So really excited about this. This will be uploaded very soon on our website, and look forward to engaging in discussion as we move through this process. Speaking of moving through the process, it's really time to start really getting into our budget timeline. Just as a outline, we are going to be working on two timelines merging. One is the budget timeline, and the second one is the rezoning and the related staffing issues with, or transitions with rezoning. There's a big red circle on May of this year. That's when we'll get a survey out to our faculty and staff. That survey will have all of the information regarding the transition, getting ready for 26-27 school year. So as we do that, we're also aligning it with our annual budget. Our purpose is to finance the educational programs and priorities for the system. And so this planning involves all parties of the stake, all of our stakeholders, as we think long-term about these priorities for the system. I will share, as we look at the items in the jar, salary and benefits, utilities and services, supplies and materials and equipment. All of these matters inside the jar are impacted by inflation. Our CFO, Helen Tucker, and I, we have a conversation, a good debate about what type of inflation, or is it headline or is it core inflation? But regardless of which one it is, they're all going up. And so making sure we can put a lid on this year's budget is going to be very important. So what that means is in economics, there's a term called opportunity cost. Without COVID assistance, without that $7 million extra that we were counting on, $7.7 million that on average that we enjoyed for the last 3 years, we had to select as a board what we're focusing on, and they're choosing to ignore something else. Wherever our time and energy and resources go, they're not going to something else. 266 third graders could be back in the third grade again next year if the trends continue. Where our time and energy is spent is going to make a difference. And so we're keeping a track of where the administration's time is because we need it to be on the ground to help the students in need. Those red bars turning to blue bars are our number one concern. We're meeting with our parent advisory tomorrow. They have shared their concerns. We'll bring all of those back to you as we move through our budgeting process. And it's our goal to bring to the board for its workshop these priorities. We asked our parents, what's most important to you at our parent advisory? And it's very interesting, of all of the things that they said, there was a lot of diversity in what parents want. But what was very clear is the statement that their education should be for my child. It's individualized. And so our challenge as a district, as a school system, is moving from a mass education system to a learning for my child format. And this change will take us to really examine the opportunity costs. For as long as I've been in educational leadership, it has been about the standard. It has been about the mass delivery, about the average student. And now we're moving into what our parents are saying, learning for my child. And so our opportunity costs are higher, they're greater as we look into how do we shift our limited resources to this new reality. So we have circled January into February for our board workshop. We wanted to present from the parent advisory kind of our thoughts of where we need to put our attention and time and effort so that we're building a budget around those priorities to deliver. Again, I go back to the beginning, those red bars becoming blue bars are my highest priority. Time and attention and energy and resources that don't go to that take away from those students in their learning. And so we have put together, again, our priorities, supporting those teachers in the classroom, retaining and recruiting the best of the best of this new class of educators and putting them in environments where they feel safe and productive. So that is our D5 story. Madam Chair, members of the board, and that concludes the superintendent's report, and I stand for any questions.
Do we have any questions for Dr. Ross? All right, thank you.